Hello and welcome to I Hit Drums. This is lesson 7 in the beginner drum video course, and today we're going to be looking at independence within drumming. So you're going to find out what independence is, why it's important as a drummer, and how you can develop it. So what is independence? Simply put, it's the ability to use all 4 of your limbs independently of each other. So quite often in drumming, we might have a right hand and a right foot falling together. And although this is quite basic independence, they're still landing at the same time. But as you develop independence on the drum kit, you're going to be able to do several different things at once. So you might have one rhythm on the right hand, one rhythm on the left, one rhythm on the right foot, and one rhythm on the left foot, all doing their own thing. And sometimes these tie together quite nicely, sometimes they are very independent of each other. So that's what we're going to start developing in this lesson. And to do this, we're going to be using the 3 different note values that were studied in the last lesson, lesson 6, the quarter notes, 8th notes and 16th notes. And we're going to be using these as well as the feet. Now up until now, we've used the right foot for playing the bass drum, and we've used the left foot to kind of squish the hi-hats together. But we're actually going to be using the left foot in more of a rhythmic sense today in a similar way to the bass drum, though not as complicated. So we're going to move to the kit and get started building that independence with quarter notes. Okay, so first of all, let's remind ourselves of quarter notes. So those are the slow ones, the ones you play on the counts of 1, 2, 3, 4. With the metronome click at 60, we're going to end up with this. So that's what we're playing to start with. The first thing we're going to add to build our independence is a bass drum with each hit. So the first foot variation we're going to look at is just the bass drum on 1, 2, 3, 4. So let's try put those 2 things together. As always, listen to the click for 4 counts, then count yourself in 1, 2, 3, 4, and then play. And we're going to do this first exercise twice. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we're going to try the second example, and this is instead of the bass drum foot on 1, 2, 3, 4, it's going to be the hi-hat foot on 1, 2, 3, 4. So just 4 chicks on the hi-hat. And you don't want any of this. You don't want that splashy sound. You want it to be a clean chick. So when you close the hi-hat, keep your foot pressed down. So now let's try add the hi-hat foot to the quarter notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, hopefully a nice and easy start. The left foot can be a little bit trickier than the right because we've not used it as much. The third foot variation that we're going to add today is alternate feet. So that's going to go bass drum on 1, hi-hat foot on 2, bass drum on 3, hi-hat foot on 4. That's going to go. So you're kind of walking the feet. So again, listen for 4 clicks, count yourself in, and let's try this third example. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now that last one's not too bad because you're doing a right foot with the right hand, left foot with the left hand, and back and forth, back and forth. So as you're developing your independence, what you'll find is that when the right side is working together, it's not too bad. When the left side is working together, it's not too bad. But when you've got like a right hand and a left foot, that can be quite tricky. Likewise, if you've got a left hand and a right foot, that can be a bit tricky as well. Okay, so hopefully you didn't find the quarter notes too tricky. At 60 BPM, quarter notes are quite slow, so that gives you plenty of time to think about what comes next. But now we're going to move on to eighth notes. So the speed of the hands, if you remember, is going to be doubling. And we're going to get that 1 and 2 and count. And we're going to keep the foot patterns the same. So we're going to do the 3 same foot patterns we just did, but against eighth notes now. So again, let's move to the kit and give that a try. Okay, now we're on to the eighth notes. And the foot variations are going to stay exactly the same. So the first one is still going to be the bass drum on 1, 2, 3, 4. The second one is still the hi-hat foot on 1, 2, 3, 4. And the third variation is still the alternate feet on 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're going to stay at 60, and let's just remind ourselves of what the eighth notes sound like on their own, first of all. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So that's what we're going to be adding to those foot variations. So we're going to be having hits in between these foot hits. Let's try this first example. Quarter notes on the bass drum, eighth notes on the hands. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Already we're building some independence because we've got one speed between the hands, eighth notes, and one speed on the foot, quarter notes. So they're already doing different things. And now this first one is still a little bit easier though, because we've got the right hand falling with the right foot and the left hand in between. So that's that same side situation that I mentioned earlier. So it's not as uncomfortable. Let's move on to adding the hi-hat foot instead. So this might be a bit trickier because you're going to have the right hand falling with the left foot and then the left hand in between. Let's give it a try. One and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, so hopefully you didn't find that too bad. A few of you may have found it a little bit awkward though. So if you need to try it a few more times, just pause the video and try it on your own. Maybe even slow it down if you need to. We're going to stay at 60 for all these exercises today though. Let's move on to the third variation. So that's the alternate feet. And again, this one can create some challenges because you're going to have the right foot falling with the right hand. And then when you do that next foot on the left, that's going to be falling with the right hand. So you've got saying kind of the right side together and then opposite sides for the next foot. Don't overthink it. Just give it a try and see what happens. It's the best bet. Let's give it a try. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So that could be a bit more challenging for some of you, but hopefully you got it. Okay, so we're going to move on to the 16th notes now. So again, we're going to be doubling that hit rate from 8th notes to 16th notes, and we're going to be counting 1 eander, 2 eander. So the hands are going to be moving quite fast now. But again, we're going to be using those same 3 foot patterns against the 16th notes. Let's give it a try. So the speed of the hands has doubled again. We're going to be doing 1 eander, 2 eander, but the foot patterns are still the same. Building on that independence a bit further, we've got a new rate between the hands, a fast one, and then still keeping the quarter note pulse with the right foot or the left foot or alternate feet. Let's try this first one. Again, listen to the click, count yourself through a bar of it. That's going to set the pace, especially with these 16th notes. You're going to be quite fast now, and then play. I'm going to do it again twice around. 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a. The speed of those hands now get a bit more challenging. Let's try the second variation with the hi-hat foot on the quarter note. 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a. Okay, so again, that right hand is falling with the left foot. Could be tricky for some. Let's try the alternate feet now. This might be the trickiest, but we'll see how we go. 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a. There you go. So we've got quarter notes, eighth notes, and 16th notes with 3 different foot patterns. That's quite a lot of independence building there. But what could we do next? So if you remember in lesson 6, once we'd worked on quarter notes, eighth notes, and 16th notes, we then did quite a large exercise where we moved between those different note values. We're going to use that same exercise to further develop your independence, but rather than work through all 3 of those foot patterns, we're just going to go with the third one, the alternate feet. So bass, hat, bass, hat. Obviously, in your own practice, you can try all 3 of those foot variations, but for this lesson, we're just going to stick to the alternate feet. So let's give that a try. As with a lot of exercises, it's time to try and move between them. You know, it's all well and good having a set of exercises one after the other, but moving between them is a real test of whether or not you can control them. And as we're developing independence, we really want to maintain control and have a good sense of what we're doing. Now, obviously, you can try this with just the bass drums or just the hi-hat foot, but for this example, we're going to go with the alternate feet. So if that one you're still finding a bit challenging, then just play along doing the bass drum or the hi-hat foot, whichever you prefer. Let's give it a try. So the whole exercise all the way through. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hopefully you managed that. But I would add that, particularly with the alternate feet foot variation, if you can get that going automatically to the point where you're not really thinking about it anymore, it means that you can be thinking more about the hands. If you start thinking about the hands and the feet all at once, there's a much stronger chance that it could fall apart. So, you know, you could even just get the feet going on their own. And then when you feel ready, start the exercise. Happy practicing. Okay, so that's a good start for you building your independence up as a drummer. Obviously, the things that you can do with your hands and your feet at the same time will grow in complexity as you develop your drumming generally. But for now, that's a really good place to start. Now, in your own practice, you can increase the speed as you get more confident with those foot patterns. You could even try alternate feet the other way around, starting with the hi-hat foot and then doing the bass drum on beat 2. Now, the only thing that I would say about that one is that you're going to be doing a left foot with a right hand with quarter notes and then a left hand with the right foot. So it's very opposite sides, that one. So that one is quite challenging, but you might want to give it a try. But that's everything we're going to cover in this lesson. So until next time, enjoy.